So our next speaker is Mark Serwotka. He is the General Secretary of the PCS Union. Yeah, that does, yeah, Sean, go on there, win! Yeah, go on, Sean! He's standing up now really close to me because he's worried about what I'm going to say next, I think. But Mark is a massive supporter of the NHS. He's shared his own personal story several times. And every time you hear it, you hear something new, really. He's been fighting against cuts to public services, civil service in particular, for a really long time. Mark is also going to be retiring. He's leaving PCS as the General Secretary. Some of us are really gutted because he's been such an important part of our journey in the trade union movement and the trade union family. And he's been a massive support on so many different levels to me personally as well. So thank you to Mark, and over to you, Mark.
Well, thanks very much, Shavanah, and big thanks for everyone who's turned out. It's a really lovely park in Tredegar, not quite as nice as Aberdare Park, but it's the second best in Wales. Aberdare supporters over there, fantastic. So big thanks also to the organisers. There's three things really I wanted to say because we've got some fantastic speakers. Firstly, we should remember that the NHS, created in this town, is the single best creation of our Labour movement. And it is never safe in the hands of a Tory government. And I hope we can all agree that whatever else we do, the sooner we get rid of the Tories in Westminster, the sooner the better for all of us, particularly here in South Wales. Now, I am retiring, but I'm only able to retire because of our fantastic National Health Service. I had a heart transplant 4 years ago, and that was one of 4 life-saving operations conducted on me by our National Health Service. Literally, I'm only standing here today because of the NHS, but particularly because of the workers in the NHS. So I want to say loud and clear that when we stand up for our NHS, first and foremost, we mean the workforce. And by a workforce, we mean that team of NHS staff, many of whom you'll hear from today. But of course, it's our brilliant doctors and nurses. But it is also the paramedics, the community nurses, the radiographers, the physiotherapists, the midwives, the community nurses, the people who book the appointments, the people who go that extra mile. They are a team that look after you when you need it most. And we would not have that team had we not created our NHS. So we have to fight for its future like never before, and I'm sure everyone here is committed to do that. But there's a second thing I think we need to say also, which Dominic mentioned. There's another anniversary that's just happened, the 75th anniversary of the Windrush coming to this country, bringing people from all over the world to come and work in post-war Britain. And I'll tell you something about when I was treated in Papworth Hospital, in Red Hill Hospital, and in Aberdare and in Bridgend. The people who treated me were from South Wales, they were from all parts of England and Scotland. But they were from Africa, they were from Asia, they were from Eastern Europe, they were from all parts of the world. And when people tell us we're full up and we haven't got room for migrants, I say thank God those migrants came to this country, because if they hadn't done, our NHS would not have been able to survive in the way that it has done. So I'm proud to address you in the week. My union, the PCS, representing staff across all government, including the Border Force, that has taken legal action that has cost us nearly £750,000. That legal action stopped the Tories turning small boats around in the middle of the channel where women and children would have died. We stopped that through legal action. The Tories' answer was to deport people to Rwanda. This week, we won in the Court of Appeal, and not a single person has been deported to Rwanda because of the power of our Labour movement. So when we fight for our NHS, we should fight for all staff in it and for all people in this country, wherever they came from, because our country is enriched by immigration and people coming here to provide, I think, a better place for us all to live. But here's the final point I want to make. We have to fight to defend the NHS. We have to fight to let this be a country that welcomes people from all over. But the fight in front of us now, if we're really serious about defending the NHS, is to fight for fair pay and conditions for every NHS worker. And that means we are proud to have supported every NHS worker who has been on strike and every NHS worker who is still going on strike for fair pay. Because whether you're a civil servant, a teacher, a postal worker, or a railway worker, and particularly if you're a health service worker, you do not deserve to be poorer at the end of each year, even though you work harder than ever before. So I congratulate all those who've been on strike, winning better pay, and we offer our support for those who are still going on strike. And here's a final thought for hopefully an incoming Labour government. We all want the Tories out, and we want a Labour government in. But we want a government that's committed to public services, to trade unionists, and to working class people in communities like this who need so much more. We do not need more privatisation. We do not need more profits being made on the back of our public sector. We need public services run in the public interest, with workers being paid the wages they deserve. And if that's what we get by fighting in the unions or fighting for a government that will give us that, this could be the beginning of a new period of optimism. We've been through hell and back, but it is our NHS workers and public sector workers who have kept people from the pits of despair. Now we've got to go on and not just fight to survive, but fight to win better pay, better conditions, more investment in our public services, and an NHS that has the staff and resource it needs to keep us safe and healthy for the rest of our lives. Solidarity, comrades.
Thank you, Mark.